Yo, shalom, Israel. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Grace and peace be into the 12. I pray my people's doing all right. We ready to get started. First, before we get going, let me go ahead and read Mark chapter 14, and then we're going to go into the lesson, which is knowing your Israel don't mean a damn thing. Yeah, I said it. It does not mean anything. Everybody thinks knowing your Israel makes you something, but it does not. But before we dive into it, let's go to Mark chapter 14, verse 3. We're going to get this thing started. Mark chapter 14, verse 3. And being in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at meat, there came a woman having an alabaster box of ointment, spikenard, very precious, and she brake the box and poured it on his head. And there were some that had indignation within themselves and said, why was this waste of the ointment made? For it might have been sold for more than 300 pence and given to the poor. And they murmured against her. And Jesus said, let her alone. Why trouble ye her? She hath wrought a good work on me. For ye have the poor with you always, and whensoever ye will, ye may do them good. But me you have not always. She hath done what she could. She has come aforehand to anoint my body to the burying. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached throughout the whole world, this also that she hath done shall be spoken of for memorial of her. So whenever we preach the true gospel of Jesus Christ, the gospel that was spoken to the 12 tribes of Israel, those today you would call black people or your modern day slaves, the descendants of slaves. And I say modern day slave because just because we're no longer in chains, we're no longer getting whipped and having to run to the north, does not mean we're still slaves. Does not mean that our ancestors, our brothers and sisters all over the world are not going through the same problems we're going through. Whenever we preach this gospel right here that tells us to return to our God that's under the curse of Deuteronomy. Those people under the curse of Deuteronomy 28 have to return to their God. Whenever we preach that gospel, we always remember the sister that put the ointment on the body of Jesus Christ to pay homage to her, just to remember, not worship her, but just have a memorial of the woman that put the ointment on the body of our Messiah. We always remember that because the disciples was like, hey, y'all, what you doing? What you doing? Don't waste it. And she did what she needed to do. All right. So, like I said, we're going to dive on into this thing. Knowing your Israel don't mean anything. It does not mean anything. Again, and yes, as you can read on the bottom of the screen, on the ticker, causing the people to understand being in the truth is about lifestyle, not knowledge. So that's what needs to get understood. And we're going to go ahead and go through it. Before we get into it, let's go ahead and say a shout out to the brothers. Hey, what's going on, Donnie? Grace and peace, man. Shalom, brother. Good evening, afternoon, whatever it is to you. Sean, what's going on? Good afternoon. Grace and peace, grace and peace. I pray I was going well with y'all. Like I said, this is an important topic to go into. Why? Because many people come into the faith and they think that they're in the truth because they learned their Israel. You'll hear people say, yeah, I've been in the truth since 2018 or since 2005. Like, yeah, I've been in the truth. Oh, why was you in the truth? Because I've been knowing I was Israel since then. Well, that don't mean nothing. Just because you learned you're an Israelite does not mean you're in the truth. See, being in the truth, again, is about lifestyle. We're going to kind of touch on the lifestyle. Well, I'm going to touch on it. I'm going to dive into it. It probably won't be a whole long lesson, but I do want to touch on this because it's a huge point because people don't understand what being in the truth entails. They think being in the truth is just knowing you Israel. Then some people think, oh, I came in the truth. Yeah, I started keeping the commandments. Oh, what commandments? I stopped eating pork. That's one commandment. Like, for real? You changed one thing, and you knew you had to keep the Sabbath. You weren't keeping the Sabbath yet. Like, just different things. Like, it's about lifestyle. It's about really changing over. So let's dive on into it. Let's go first find out, because it said, like I said, knowing your Israel don't mean nothing. Let's first understand what being in the truth is. So what is the truth? Let's go get it. Psalm chapter 119, verse 142. What is the truth? Psalm chapter 119, verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. See, so the law is the truth. If you are in the truth, you are in the laws. If you're in the laws, then of course the laws have to be in you. It goes together. And I know it sounds crazy. Like, how can you be in something and in something in you? Well, we're about to let's take a look at it. Let's go to John. Let's see what John said when he spoke speaking to Christ. Because again, when you're in the truth, you got to be within the laws. He said the law is the truth. There's no other way around it. You cannot say you're in the truth if you talking about we don't got to keep the law of Moses. We ain't keep the law. It ain't law of Moses. Only thing when he refers to the law of Moses, they're just referencing keeping the sacrificial commandments. There's law of Moses. It's not Moses' law. It's God's law. So knowing you're in the truth is knowing you're within the laws. Let's go. John chapter 4. Did I say 14 too? If I said that, I didn't mean that. Let's go to John chapter 14, verse 20. Which one do I want? I'll start at verse 23. John chapter 14, verse 23. And Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him. So he says, hey, if he does that, then we're going to come to him and we're going to live with him. We are going to be among this man because this man, he is inside the truth. He's within it. Okay, let's go to verse 21. John chapter 14, verse 21. He that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me, and he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him and will manifest myself to him. See, he will manifest himself to you. He reveals himself to you. He will come to you. He will manifest through you because you are a representation of him. So when you're in the truth, you're in the laws. You're in the commandments, because again, the laws and the commandments are hand in hand. A lot of people they try to separate the laws and the commandments. They're not separate. They're the same thing. The laws and the commandments are one and the same. The laws, commandments, statutes, all of those things mean the same thing. Just in case you're confused on it, let's go ahead and get clarity on it. Let's go to Joshua chapter 22, verse 5, and you're going to see. Matter of fact, I like this one. Let's go Joshua 22 and 5. And by the way, let me. I see Brother Stephen. Hey, grace and peace, brother. Shalom, shalom. Good afternoon, brother. Good afternoon. Hopefully, all's going good. What's going on, Brother David? Shalom, man. Shalom. Out to the house of David. I see you on, Sister Tanya. They said shalom to the house of David, Sister Tanya. Hopefully y'all's calendars arrive. I know some people just said theirs got there, so hopefully y'all's made it too. But yeah, hey, grace and peace, Israel. All right, let's go to what did I say? Joshua chapter 22, verse 5. Remember, people like to separate the laws and the commandments. They don't understand that being in the truth is being in the laws or being in the commandments. Christ said, he that hath my words and keepeth them, whoever keeps my commandments, that person loves me, and I will manifest myself to him. I'll be in him. All right. Joshua chapter 22, verse 5. But take diligent heed to do the commandment and the law. So they're both together. Let's read on. Which Moses, the servant of God, charged you with. Charge you with. To love the Lord your God and to walk in all his ways, to keep his commandments and to cleave unto him and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. Again, to cleave to him is to keep the commandments. To serve him is to keep the commandments. To walk in all his ways. They're just saying many different ways to keep the commandments. The Bible only repeats the same thing over again. The book of the law is telling you keep the laws in many different ways. That's all it is. So to know your Israel, you got to know that God's all about obedience. He's all about the laws. He's all about his words. He's all about his instructions. If you're not in his instructions, you are not in the truth. You got to be in his instructions. You got to believe in the instructions. You got to follow the instructions. All right. That's the only way. It's the only way to be in faith. Can't be in the faith any other way. If you're saying you're in the faith, then it's not true. Now let's get it. Now, again, remember, you're in the truth if you're in the laws. Let's go to 1 John chapter 3, verse 24. 1 John chapter 3, verse 24. And he that keepeth his commandments dwelleth in him. See, he says he that keeps his commandments dwell in him. You're dwelling inside. Who is him? The Christ, the Messiah. So you're in the truth. You're in the light. You have to be in him to be in the light. If you're in the light, you're in the truth. Let's read on. And he that keepeth his commandments dwelleth in him, and he in him, and Christ in you. Same thing I just read. If you're dwelling in the laws, you're inside Christ. If you're dwelling in those, he's inside you because his word is flowing through you. It's in your mind. It's sealed within you. If the truth is in the truth, you have to be in the truth for the truth to be in you. It's synonymous. It goes together. All right. Let me read again. He that keepeth his commandments dwelleth in him, and he in him. And hereby we know that he abideth in us by the Spirit which he hath given us. Again, he said, he abideth in us. I am in him. I live with him. I live inside him. You know what I'm saying? Anybody ever seen Lion King? You remember Simba looked into the reflection of water and Rafiki touched the water. He saw Mufasa and he said, he lives in you. That's how it is with the Christ. He lives in us, but we have to actually be walking the way he walked. If we're talking about we eating some catfish and shrimp on the Sabbath day and it's freshly cooked, he don't live in us. We're not following the Christ. We're following ourselves. And we following ourselves. We are following the devil because the devil sinned from the beginning. Satan was a murderer. Satan liveth his own. It's all about doing what you want. When you about yourself, you're not about the Christ. You're not in the truth. You know what I'm saying? I am absolutely, matter of fact, let's get one more because I said in the truth. I want to touch more on this. Let's go to Psalm chapter 119, verse 151. Because again, we got to stop saying we're in the truth just because we know we Israelites. There's so many people that know you Israelites, and they can be, oh yeah, how long you been in the truth? Like 15 years? Oh, for real? And I'm sitting there in the back of my mind, like, dang, I thought you was in the truth 15 days. Because you don't act like it. He isn't in you. He's not because you have 15 years of Christ in you. You're going to be very experienced. It's like a 6-year-old child. You got a 6-year-old child, and you have them learning how to ride a bike. You know what I'm saying? Guess what? They're gonna be on a bike. They'll be, wobbling side to side. They're gonna be falling over. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna run into trees. They're gonna do all kind of stuff because they just started learning how to ride a bike 15 minutes ago. But if you got somebody that's been riding a bike for 15 years, let's say that 6-year-old has been riding since he was 6 and then turns 21. Now you got a 21-year-old child. 21-year-old person, and they riding the bike. They've been riding that bike for 15 years. It's gonna be just like nothing. They're gonna ride with no hands. You know what I'm saying? They'll take their feet off the thing. They might do tricks. They might stand on the handlebars, do all kind of stuff. You know why? Because they're experienced in it. It's like second nature. It just flows. It's easy for that 6-year-old or that 21-year-old who started riding since they were 6. They've had 15 years experience. You got these people that's so caught in the truth. How long you been in? 15 years. But good and damn well they been keeping the laws 15 years because they move like a baby. They talk like a baby. They act like a baby. They don't act like someone that has actually been in the faith. They don't even understand certain basics. They don't even understand, oh yeah, shoot, the last day of the feast of unleavened bread, I can't buy that day. How do you not know that? You've been doing this 15 years and you don't know that? Because you ain't been living this lifestyle. You ain't been hanging with the Messiah. When I say hanging with the Messiah, you read. See, if you're hanging with the Messiah, he's talking to you. You like, man, let me see. You know what I'm saying? Give me some days where you just sitting there reading a long time. That's you hanging with the Messiah. You know what I'm saying? You're actually getting his words. You're praying to him. You're talking to him. And it's best, guess what? Praying, because there's a lot of people that pray a whole lot but don't read. Don't pray. Here's the thing. If you're one of those people that pray a whole lot and don't read, what you're doing really is you telling God, you talking to God all day, but you ain't listening to him. You need to read. Again, people that's been in the truth understand that because they understand God's words is God speaking to you. But if you're a baby, then you ain't gonna know that. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna say goofy stuff that don't make no sense. Again, being in the truth is a lifestyle. It's not a level of knowledge. It's not a what you feel. No, it's a lifestyle. How long you been doing this? How long you been learning? How long you been actually trying to blow the trumpet and warn your people? Oh, you ain't doing that? Yeah, how long you been in? You know what I'm saying? It should not be no brothers. And again, not everybody is a teacher, but it should not be no brothers that's been in the truth for a while and they still not trying to help gather the sheep. They still ain't doing that. They not trying to help build the kingdom. They're not trying to help rescue their people out of the lake of fire that's coming. Oh, you ain't in the truth that long. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody that's been in the truth for a while should be itching to make sure matter of fact, let's get this real quick before I read Psalms. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 11, verse 30. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. You see, their fruit is your actions. So the fruit of the righteous person, that righteous person is going to be, they're going to be living this thing. That righteous person is that tree of life, that life is going to blossom from them. You know what I'm saying? They're going to shine. That light's going to shine before men. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. Let's read on. And he that winneth souls is wise. You see, you're going to win souls because you've actually study to actually learn to help your people. Yeah, matter of fact, let me read this real quick. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 28, I think. Yep. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 28. Remember, I said the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, right? Proverbs 15:28. The heart of the righteous studieth to answer. You see, if you're really righteous, you're going to be studying because you want to be able to answer the people and show them what the Lord requires. But if you really ain't worried about that, you know what you're not going to do? You're not going to try to be that humble servant that's trying to learn. That's going to be trying to gain understanding so you can actually bring that understanding to someone else so you can win them over. You want them to be won to Christ. But if you ain't really trying to win them over to Christ because you're not wise, you're not trying to win souls. That ain't really your focus. You don't care about winning souls. All you care about is just your own self. And if you care about your own self, again, you are somebody that's not in the truth. Because if you in the truth, you care about your people. You understand that the scriptures talk about don't seek your own wealth, but seek the wealth of others. You're going to understand the scriptures talking about what's that, Philippians 2, where he talks about make sure I say this right. Okay, let me just look at it because I don't want to butcher it. He said, yeah, let not every man look to his own things, but the things of others. So you're going to look to the things of others if you're really in this walk. You're going to be trying to study to answer your people, but you can't study to answer if you are not amongst those that do know. And that also goes back into the people that do not want to assemble. Those that don't want to assemble aren't trying to come together and be instructed and built up and learn. They're not trying to interact and trying to have their sharpen their iron. Matter of fact, let's read it real quick. Proverbs 27:17. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. You see, you gotta get around those others that actually have that wisdom as well and be sharpening your iron. And that's also why when you're not interacting with your brothers and sisters in the faith, are you trying to grow, or are you just trying to just live your own regular life? You know what I'm saying? What are you trying to do? Are you really in the truth? Because people that's in the truth, they're trying to sharpen that iron constantly. They're constantly sharpening that iron. They're not gonna stop. But people that aren't in the truth, they don't understand that because they don't understand what the truth really means. They think the truth means knowing who you are. They think it just means you just know who you are. What do people do? And that's the YouTube Israelites. And I'm gonna talk about them another day. I got a class coming for y'all. But the YouTube Israelites, they the ones that ain't really, those people ain't really in the truth. But we're gonna talk about that later. They not in the truth. They individual YouTuberites, yeah, they're not in the truth. They just know the truth. They might do a few things that seem like they're in the truth. They're not in the truth. If you're not trying to, if you ain't got a congregation or trying to get with a congregation, you're not trying to build with a congregation, you're not in the truth. You're a beginner, you're a baby, and your understanding shows it. Because somebody's in the truth knows what's required. They know the best way to grow is actually assemble with brothers and sisters who actually interact with brothers and sisters. So you have to learn how to deal with people because the majority of the laws are dealing with your brothers and sisters. But let's go. Where was I going to? I completely forgot where I was going. I had some good loaded up. I had some I was ready to fire off, and I just lost it that fast. I know what I wanted. Hebrews chapter 10. Yeah, I said people don't want to assemble, don't want to gather around, don't do those things. That's talking about iron sharpening iron. Iron sharpening iron is it's part of your lifestyle. Part of being in the truth is iron sharpening your iron. But you don't sharpen your iron just sit and listen to YouTube videos all day. Who are you dealing with? But again, if you deal with people, they're gonna have to see your BS. If they see your BS, they're gonna correct you. And what do black people not like? Correction. They don't like being reproved. They don't like being told what to do. They don't like being told that. We all got to be told what to do sometimes. Because remember, at the end of the day, Christ is telling us what to do. Jesus Christ over us, the Messiah. He's like, hey, do this. And your other family members that's in the faith with you that can sharpen iron, they're going to give you Christ's words. Those men will be like, hey, get yourself together. What you doing? But let me get back here and let's read this. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25. Not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. So he says, but exhorting one another. Hey, everybody in the chat, let me see. Before I continue on, what is exhorting one another? I want to see somebody answer that question. What is exhorting one another? Tell me what that is. He says, hey, as you see the day approaching, he says, not forsaking the assembling together, just like some people do. He said, as the manner of some is, meaning as people's normal, that as people's not customs or Habits. Some people's habits are not to assemble together. They forsake the assembly. They kind of like to stay on their own. That's the manner of those people. And then he says, but exhorting one another. He says, all praises. There we go. Hey, there we go. And there's other words with it too. But yep. Oh, all praises. Hey, brother Donnie, you're on point though. Warning someone, exhorting one another. You gotta warn someone. You gotta tell them, hey, brother Stephen came on. Shalom, shalom. That's what's up. Hey, all praises. Yep. Hey, look. Hey, three's a charm. And then Sarah came on with it too. Hey, Sarah. Hey, look. She better have the right answer because she living in the house with me. If she got the wrong answer, she gonna show that I'm a terrible teacher. So, hey, all praise to the Most High. Hey, Sean, same thing. Encourage each other. So you warn, which means you tell them, hey, we don't keep the commandments, then we're gonna fall away. See, why these people that know they're Israel and aren't really in the truth? Because no one is around them to encourage them. Nobody is around them to do what Donnie has said, to warn them. Someone has to blow the trumpet on you and let you know. But when you don't have that, then no one's warning you. So no one's telling you to get right. So now your lifestyle's not improving. So that goes back to why you have that brother that's been in the truth for 12, 13 years. And they're still doing stuff that somebody has done within the first 2 or 3 months. You know why? Because no one's warning them. They aren't assembling with anyone. They're not being encouraged by anyone, like Brother Stephen said. You know what I'm saying? They're not being urged. You know what I'm saying? Like Sarah said, they're not being urged to do better. They're not being given those words, those good words of the direction. They ain't being given that. You know why? Because there's no one to redirect them. So they stay away. And that's why when people to stay away, a lot of times they'll stay on that same low level. They might be somebody that's really, really smart or has that great memory. And they might compile thousands of precepts, but they don't have no understanding. You know why? Because no one is telling them to get better. No one has them actually moving in the right direction. They're not moving in a forward direction. They're not fixing themselves. No one ain't fixing themselves because no one's encouraging them. No one's urging them. No one's exhorting them, to move, to do better. And that's what it takes. When you really in the faith, you're going to have to be encouraged. But when you're not encouraged, your level will never grow. You're not being coached. That's what exhortation is going into. You're being coached. You're being urged. It's like, hey, keep going. Don't stop. But nobody's telling you don't stop. So you have when you by yourself, you stop. Anybody's ever played sports before? Or even if you ain't played sports, if you just worked out or exercise, or you did some type of you did some martial arts, whatever it is. If you do those things, you're going to exercise, and you're going to have people, telling you like, keep going, don't give up. I know it hurts, don't stop. You gotta have that. Gotta have it. It takes, and that's why also you got to do that. And also, if you don't do that, somebody should be showing you how to do it. If you don't know how to encourage someone, then you need to be taught how to do it. What am I? Well, man, I'm gonna go into a whole class on not congregating, because not congregating is the main reason these people don't grow in the truth. But let's get back to this. A lot of people, like I said, they maintain the same lifestyle they had when they was in the world. Watch this. Let's get another one on the truth. Let's go to Psalm chapter 119, verse 151. That's like I said, people think knowing you're Israel is in the truth. That's just simply not true. Oh, hold on, let me tell you and say, by the way, you're on point. Yep, you can't love a brother like yourself if you got no brothers around to love. You can't. Yeah, you gonna, tell me, yeah, I love my people, but you don't even. Somebody really love. Here's why. A lot of these people, I'm telling you, here's why they cap. Here's how you know they cap. Matter of fact, let me read this. I'm gonna read Psalm 119. I'm gonna go to scripture and show how these people capping. They talk about they love, they never is they self, but they don't, gather with anybody. They just watch on YouTube. They don't ever go meet up with nobody. Psalm 119, verse 151. Thou art near, O Lord, and all thy commandments are truth. You see, he says, Lord, you're near to me. You're near to us. And he says, all your commandments are truth. See, if you're somebody that don't keep all the commandments, or you're not trying to keep all the commandments, you know what you're saying? You're not in the truth. Because he says all the commandments are truth. Not some of the commandments are truth, but all of them. Because you know why? You got to be doing all of it. So let's get back to what they said. You can't love a brother like yourself if you got no brothers to love. It's absolutely true. It's no way you can act like you do when you don't have nobody around. Watch this. Here goes support on that. Let's go to Acts chapter. Let me see. Don't want Acts 14. In fact, I'm gonna get Acts chapter 20. Not Acts, no, not Acts 27. I'm gonna go to Second Corinthians. That's the one where it says Second Corinthians. Second Corinthians chapter 11. Is it 11? Yep, okay. Second Corinthians chapter 11, verse 22. Watch this. You can't love a brother like yourself if you got no brothers around to love. All right. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I. Are they ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool. I am more in labors, more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequent, in deaths oft. Now, look at all these things that was going on with Paul, right? Now, why was Paul going through all? Let's watch this. Of the Jews, 5 times received I 40 stripes, save one. So he says, I was getting beat. I was getting lashes. So I had to be around brothers to deal with this pain. Like he kept going around brothers. Let's read around. Verse 25. Thrice was I beaten with rods. Once was I stoned. Thrice I suffered shipwreck. A night and a day I have been in the deep. So he said 3 times I was in a shipwreck. You know how he's in a shipwreck? Because he was going around brothers. Paul was going around people no matter what. He wasn't stopping because all this stuff was happening to him. These things happened and he continued in the faith. That's why he said, I finished my course. You see, Paul was in the truth. See, the truth is going to be painful sometimes. Truth ain't always going to be good, but you still got to continue in the faith. It's called endurance. See, he endured. He took this seriously. It meant something to him. You know what I'm saying? Because he understood being in the truth about lifestyle, all the commandments of truth. You know what else God commanded Paul to do? He's like, go to your people. Get out there to your people. Let me prove what I'm saying. And this is something. Let's watch this. Ezekiel chapter 3. All right. Ezekiel chapter 3. I'm going to show how he's talking to him. Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 4. Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 4. And he said unto me, Son of man, go, get thee unto the house of Israel and speak with my words unto them. So he let him know, hey, go speak to him and speak with my words. Go say what I told you to say. Verse 5. For thou art not sent to a people of a strange speech and of a hard language, but to the house of Israel. And I'm going to jump down to verse 7. But the house of Israel will not hearken unto me. For all the house of Israel are impudent and hard-hearted. So he said, hey, my people ain't going to listen to you. He said, your people ain't going to listen. Go talk to him. What did Paul do? He took that commandment and listened. Yes, I know right here, I'm reading he's talking to Ezekiel, but somebody's going to scoff him like, oh, he's not talking to Paul. So you can't use that. You trying to twist the scriptures. Cool. Watch this. Acts chapter 9, verse, where's that? Acts chapter 9, verse 3. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined light round about him, a light of heaven. And he fell to the earth and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And he said, Who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And he, trembling and astonished, said, Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? And the Lord said unto him, Arise, go into the city, and it shall be told thee what to do. See, Christ came to him. He shined that light in his face, blinded him, and he told him, go out there. Now, he eventually told him, go to your people. You are mighty. He said, Peter was the minister for the Jews, which you would say the people that was already, he was the head of that. Paul was the head of going to the Gentiles. The Gentiles are not heathens, but the Gentiles, they was talking about other Israelites. Now I'm talking about this to show that he was in the truth. Again, this is instructions that God gave him, and he kept those instructions. See, when you're in the truth, you're going to do whatever you see that the Lord tells you. You're not going to disobey it because you don't like it. You're going to follow it because you are actually in this walk. What people need to understand is being in the truth is about lifestyle. It's about a lifestyle that's going to be contrary to what you may want to do, but you're going to have to do it because he gave you the commandment. You don't just get to go against it because you don't feel like doing it. You got to go with it. And again, back to what I said too, understanding who you are means nothing. There's a lot of people that got knowledge. What does knowledge mean? Not a damn thing. Let's prove that. Let's read Ecclesiastes chapter 19, verse 24. Ecclesiastes chapter 19, verse 24. He that hath small understanding and feareth God is better than one that hath much wisdom and transgresseth the law of the Most High. See, a lot of these people that call themselves in the truth, they say they're in the truth because they got knowledge. And knowledge means nothing. That knowledge you can take with you to the lake of fire. God doesn't care about your knowledge. You know what I'm saying? He don't care nothing about that. You know what he cares about? He cares about he cares about your actions. He cares about what you carry out. Let's show that. Let's prove that. Romans chapter 2, verse 11. No, I'm sorry. Romans chapter 2. Oh, why am I in Romans 1? My bad. I was in the right spot. Romans chapter 2, verse 13 is what I wanted. Romans chapter 2, verse 13. For not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. See, you got to be one that does what he says. You say you're really in this truth, then you should be a doer of the law. You're not one of those people that just knows the law. You can have much wisdom and transgress the law. You're not a doer of the law. You're not going to be justified. You're not in the truth. God don't believe you. He don't want to hear what you're talking about. Oh, you know you Israel. So what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Stop being that person that's knowing they're Israel for 20 years and you ain't even keeping no laws. If anybody that tells me that they've been in the truth for 10 plus years and it's still certain things that I can see with my naked eye that you don't do in the faith, you really don't know that much. Your understanding is low because you don't really keep the laws. You know what I'm saying? That's easy to spot. Anybody that's really in the truth can spot that. Anybody that has any understanding, any wisdom, they're gonna be like, oh, you in the truth. How long? Oh, wow. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And I know this because as many people are surpassed. I came in my first year, as people that so-called been in 6-7 years, and I was way ahead of my understanding. Not a knowledge puff up contest, but just a like, wow. Oh, why ain't you got that far? Oh, because you really ain't been serious about this walk. You really ain't been doing it like that. Let's read this. I'm gonna show what I'm talking about when I said people really, talking about they in this truth, they're really in this walk. Really not. They've been playing for a long, long time. And what did I just now? Oh, so Psalm chapter 111, verse 10, one of my favorite scripts. One of the best scriptures in the Bible, by the way. Psalm chapter 111, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever. So anybody knows what that means? Type in the chat. How do you know somebody? I mean, let me see. How can I say this? Yeah. How do you know somebody's really in the truth? Anybody can answer that. And when I say how do you know somebody's in the truth, according to this scripture, the fear of the Lord is beginning of wisdom, a good understanding, have all they that do the commandments. How do you know if somebody's actually been in the truth for a while? How do you know they have? Yeah. How do you know? And if anybody got an answer, let me know. Hey, boom. I go one answer. Let me see. I got one. See what Donnie got. If they keeping the laws, they're going to have a great understanding. So if somebody say they've been in the truth 15 to 20 years and they you can tell their understanding is kind of whack. You know why it's still whack? Because they ain't keeping the laws. You might not have really watched. You ain't got to be, because people might be like, you don't know me. I don't got to know you. I know the spirit, and the spirit says this, and you don't do this, this, and that. So I know your understanding is pretty low. Let me see what Sean got. Sean got Matthew 7:16. Yeah, I'm about to go read it. All right, Sean, let me see. Sean's on the spot now. All right, everybody, let's see what Sean's about to do. No, I'm just playing. But Sean, you are on the spot though. Matthew chapter 7, verse 16. You should. Oh man, hey Sean on fire. Hey, round of applause for Sean. Hey, all praise to the Most High. I had a soundboard. I hit a little button for you. Hey, Matthew chapter 7, verse 16. Ye shall know them by their fruits. That's fire right there. Fire on point. You will know them by their fruits. That's how you know somebody's really in the truth. That's how you know. You know what I'm saying? Truth is about lifestyle, man. No, just because it's so many people that say they know they're Israelites. I see people all the time that, oh yeah, I know I'm Israel. But it don't mean nothing. They ain't put a fringe on. They ain't kept no Sabbaths. ain't never kept a feast day in their life. You know what I'm saying? Ain't slept. Don't you be like, yeah, you got slept in a tent for a week, huh? Sleep in a tent? What you mean? What you talking about? Oh, you don't know about the Feast of Tabernacles, bro? Oh, okay. How long you been in the truth? You know what I'm saying? That's it. Some things I'll be asking. Oh, how long you been in the truth? Okay. That's another thing. How long you been in? Who you dealing with? Okay. All right. And a lot of times, a lot of times people's truth clock starts, like I said, when you keep in the laws. That's what ain't a lot of time. That's when it starts. But then when they really start to excel as far as in growth, as their spirit growing, when they start fellowship. You start fellowship, and that's when your spirit starts growing, because that's when you start encountering other spirits. Because and a lot of people, like I said, they like to discredit fellowship but here's one thing you got to understand. Here's how you know who the real servants of God are. No, I know. I'm gonna leave that alone right now. I'm not even gonna go to that. I'm gonna save it for my fellowship class. We can come to that later. But yeah, you know who they are. Well, let me read it. Shoot, I'll read it again whenever I do the class. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 19. For there must also be heresies among you, that they which are approved may be made manifest among you. See, those people that are approved, those people that are really in the faith, will be made manifest by other spirits. You can't, because other spirits are a test for you. If you one person and you go try to go deal with some Israelites one time, and then they do something you don't like, and you like, I ain't going around them, they wicked. How you going? Like, first of all, Scripture tells you what to do if they wicked. You're supposed to tell them that they acting in wickedness. They might have been somebody that heard you and repented. You ain't even warn them. So you didn't keep the law. You wicked for not keeping that law and warning them that they're operating outside of the Scripture. First of all, you're supposed to be trying to help repair each other. Remember, Christ came for the sick, not those that are well. So other people who go around are going to be sick too. Oh, or maybe you not sick though. Well, if you're not sick and everybody else is wicked, guess what that means? Christ didn't come for you. He ain't dealing with you. Because guess what? If he was, you'll be able to see. You're going to still be blind. So that's one thing we got to understand. The truth is about your lifestyle. Your lifestyle cannot be improved until you actually implement the things that are the laws and commandments that are given to us in the scriptures. That's where you see who's in the truth. That's where you see people's faith. That's where you see people's level of understanding. You gotta have trouble. You gotta have disagreements. You gotta fall out. You gotta have these things. It's impossible, but offenses will come. But in those offenses, guess what you do? You prove that you Israel. Those that are approved will be made manifest in those situations. Manifest, aka their fruit will bloom, like Sean just eloquently pulled out. Matthew 7:16. They will be known by their fruits. What are their fruits going to be? What Donnie said. If they're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. They're keeping the commandments. Whenever this happens, they're going to do this. That's how you're going to prove you're an Israelite. This happens, you do this. But how you prove you're an Israelite? How do you show that you've been in the truth if you ain't, dealing with anyone? How do you show that? You can't. You know what you can show? You show that you're a YouTuber, like you show that you don't listen to God when God told you holy convocation. God told you gather yourself together. He shows you those that separate themselves are sensual, which means not in the spirit, they're of the flesh. Man, there's some more I can touch on, and I'm gonna remember a lot more scriptures when I get off of here. I don't be mad, but that's cool. Hopefully y'all have a good evening, man. Hey, I pray everybody's doing all right. Like I said, I want to touch on a quick lesson on far just because you Israel, just because you know that don't mean nothing. Because like I said, a lot of times when I made a class like 3 years ago about it, it was like, you're not in the truth. You just a Negro that know you Hebrew, except I had the other N word. You just know you a Hebrew. Remember, your Hebrew don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? Hey, by the way, Sean, you in the spirit again. Hey, remember, like, share, and subscribe. And if you already shared, you already subscribed, you already liked it, then make sure you comment on the videos too afterwards. And again, if you like, of course, us, part of the congregation, make sure you comment on those videos. Comment on other videos throughout the week. And if you missed them, go back and find them and go comment on the videos. And, even if you missed it, go comment, go catch a part. And one thing I know Sean's good about it, he'll put time, he'll put little, time slots on there. Time stamps, that's the word I want. Put time stamps on there. So yeah, do those things. Again, this helps push the ministry. Not push me. Don't push my brain, because I don't really care. but push the ministry. You want more people to come into the faith. We want to wake up more people. We want this message to go out all over the earth. So somebody else, you hope that somebody else can hear the message just like you got to hear the message. You know, somebody be sitting down and scrolling through YouTube like, hold on, wait, what? What's this talking about? Oh, what do you mean knowing your Israel? What does that mean? So yeah. So, you know, again, we gotta talk about these things. Let's get this stuff going. Hey, all praise to the Most High down there. Yes, definitely. It's got to be touched on. And actually, there's a lot more to go on. I got to get more into it for real. Because it's so much more I can say. One thing I'm thinking of is like the people in scriptures, they all knew they were Israelites. They all went in the truth though. So, you know, but it is what it is. I'll get to, you know, we'll get more on these things. So let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 14, and we'll definitely close this thing out. And like I said, everybody have a good evening. 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 14. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the communion of the Holy Ghost be with you all. Amen. So I want his grace, his mercy to be with you. And of course, he said the communion of the Holy Ghost, meaning the fellowship. You want the fellowship of the Holy Spirit, which we know comes with real fellowship.